Okay, Algebra 1, this is day 2 of the release test from last year, from 2014. These are some notes to kind of get you thinking about a few things before you work through the problems. Remember that when you're deciding whether your graph is going to have a solid or a dashed line, you got to look at the symbol. Notice there is not a line under either of these symbols, and so this would be a dashed line. You do have a solid line under each of these symbols, so when you graph it, it's going to have a solid line. When you look at the symbol to determine your shading, okay, if it is pointing away from the Y, you're going to shade above. And if it is pointing to the Y, you're going to shade below. Most of those problems you can at least get narrowed down to 50-50 just based on solid or dashed and above or below. Remember that domain and range will be numbers. Domain will be the numbers that are your x values. Range will be your y values. Remember that something is a function if x does not repeat. Okay, so if they give you a word problem, there are 27 people in the room. Adults paid $5 to come in and students paid $2. How many students are in the room? Okay, you've got two kinds of people, adults and students. So A plus C is equal to 27 people. And then you have adults are $5, so 5A plus students are $2, so 2C equals, they would have had to have told you how much money they had. This was not a real good problem. I was in a hurry when I made it. Let's just say they made $275. So you would put 275. Those would be your system of equations you would use. Another thing to think about on one of these, let me just make up something else real quick. You don't have to write this down. It's all right. If you had adults and students in the room, and there are 6 more adults than students, you would say A is adult, and you would say C is students. Okay? There are 6 more adults than students. So that would mean your adults would be equal to your students plus 6. Keep that in mind. When you're looking at a quadratic, a maximum is when you have a high point. A minimum is when you have a low point. These would both be called a vertex. Okay? You will do second calc and either max or min to find your vertex. Once you know the axis of symmetry is what cuts the graph in half. You fold it on it and it covers itself completely. It is always x equal, and you always get your number from the x value of your vertex. So for example, if your vertex is at 2, 5, your axis of symmetry is x is equal to 2. If they give you a series of numbers and they want you to write the equation, remember to number them. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're going to go to stat. So go to your calculator, go to stat, edit, and you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, and you've got 5, 8, 11, and 14, and you're going to go stat, calc 4. So your equation is y equal 3x plus 2. Y equal 3x plus 2. Another way you could go about this is you could put each of their answer choices in y equal, look at the table, and compare it to the numbers you have. Okay, go on to the next page. If you have what are the solutions for x squared minus 3x equals 7, this is an equation. Everything before goes to y1, everything after goes to y2. So at y1, you're going to say x squared minus 3x. At y2, you're going to say 7. You're going to go second calc 5, second calc 5, let it draw. enter, enter, enter. Keep in mind that if it is a quadratic, you will have two solutions. So negative 1.54 is one of your solutions, and you're going to have to go through it again. Second, calc 5, go to the right till you get close to the other solution. Enter, 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 and 4.54 is the other one. So you have two solutions. Okay, if you have an inequality and they want you to get y by itself, you're kind of just going to have to go old school and just do it the math way. Move things around until y is by itself. So I would move the 5y by subtracting. So negative 4x, 3 minus 5 is negative 2, so minus 2y is less than 2. So then I would move the 4x, and I get negative 2y is less than 2 plus 4x. I do not like that negative, so I am going to change every sign, including the symbol. So 2y is greater than negative 2 minus 4x. Everything gets divided by 2, so y is greater than negative 1 minus 2x, and that would be what you looked for. Not really a shortcut, but you've got to remember that if you have that negative, you don't like it, so you change every sign. Okay, that's all of the notes, so you are ready to do your worksheet. Take your time, use your calculator on each one that you can. Make sure that you don't just guess. Have a reason for what your answer is.